Welcome to the finale of Mod My 4Runner presented by iBach. It is time we wrap a few things up and take this thing for a drive. That's right, guys. We are down to the wire to getting this thing done. I'm beyond pumped in terms of the transformation that has happened. If you haven't watched the first 3 episodes, you have to go do so because it has been an epic transformation from a limited, non-supercharged SUV to now what we have is a very TRD Pro-esque 4Runner, and I'm loving it so far. But let's begin with something that some of you guys have commented on, and that is the wind deflector. This is a love-hate thing with me. These actually do serve a function. They do deflect bugs and wind and rocks, and they're pretty good to have if you're doing a lot of highway driving like this vehicle will see. However, they look ugly, and for the sake of that, I think I'm pulling it off. This is actually a dealer installed option, so you can see it's got a bunch of screws here, and that's not the worst part of it. You'll see when I take this off, there's a couple of like rubber grommets that are placed on the hood, and hopefully those come off without leaving any types of marks here. And there it comes off, and oh, dude, look at that. The grime is real. Look at that. That's probably been there since it was installed from the dealer. Like, no one's cleaned this thing up. So I'm just heating this up because I feel like we're gonna have a better chance to remove this. And you can feel it. It is moving. That's a good sign. But boy, whatever they use on these, holy, it is on there. There it goes. You can hear it coming up. And it is off, and it's left all the glue there. This one here, with a little bit of heat, this piece of tape actually comes off really, really nicely. Doesn't leave any residue or anything like that. You can see it just peels up. Thank you, Toyota, for using a product like that. That doesn't completely screw us. And now for here, I've got some of my goo gone. Usually I'd wait 5 minutes, but because I'm trying to show you this right now, I won't. I'll just give this a rub. And now I've got this plastic razor blade. I don't know if you guys have seen these before, but it's just a very thinly cut piece of plastic so it doesn't harm the paint. And you can see it's taking off the glue. So that's about 90% clean. We'll get the rest of it when we wash and polish this car. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? I thought I would like it better, but maybe it's because it's just ingrained in my head, having that deflect there, then having this whole piece blacked out. It kind of looked pretty aggressive. Taking it off, I think, is certainly cleaner, but let me know in the comments, do you guys like it with the deflector or without? So one of the most prevalent comments made in this series has been, oh my God, look at the rust on this vehicle. What are you going to do about it? First of all, if you think this is bad rust, you should have seen some of the 4Runners that I looked at. They were way worse than this. All things considered, this is actually pretty minor rust. And I know for those of you living in the southern states that don't deal with rust, you think this is bad. There is so much worse, and I'm not saying this is good. I still think this is unacceptable and kind of crummy, but you know what? This is just a reality of living in the Rust Belt. Like, vehicles will rot. Toyotas of this era have been known to not have good metal, and this is the result of it. Thankfully, most of this really is surface rust. Like, a lot of this here, and if we just like look back here, this is all very, very minor surface rust. There is no real rot on this vehicle. There are no real holes. The chassis is very, very solid. In order to clean off all of this rust, me and Dave would probably have to put in like 40 plus hours, and it's a nasty job, and it's just not worth doing. It really, for a vehicle of this sort, we're not restoring a vintage Ferrari. This is a 4Runner. They're mass produced. What we're gonna do though is encapsulate a lot of this rust and protect it from further spreading with fluid film, which is a lano-based undercoating. It's got a ton of other features. You guys have seen us use it on everything from like loosening bolts to lubing up threads and that kind of stuff. So it's a really, really great product. And what you can see is it does come in 2 different styles. This is their aerosol can, which for the average do-it-yourselfer is a great way to go. And what we actually have is their universal like spray kit, which is this spray gun and attachment. And then what we're gonna do is fill it up right here with the black stuff. So you can see once you put this on, it's gonna really stay there. It's a nice thick gel. Now, the struggle with this is actually not coating the entire shop with it. What you need to do is have your gun set to a low pressure so this doesn't like atomize as much. And then we're gonna try a couple things because we do have a bunch of cars here we don't wanna cover with this stuff. So let's get to it. So you do really wanna mix this up. As you can see, I've got a funnel here. And I come with this and just plop some out.
It's got that fluid film smell too.
That's right.
Smells like a wet sheep because it's wool wax based.
So you can see we kind of have contained our setup here. We're just trying to minimize the amount of atomization. I have my compressor set down to 50 psi to minimize the spray, but you'll see this comes out quite nicely now. And so just like that, and what I'm gonna do is just go around everywhere I see and just try to coat as much of this as possible. So as you guys just saw there was still a lot of atomization happening, which is what we don't want. So I include this like long line for the inside of your doors, and I'm finding if I spray with it here, I'm not getting a lot of that spray back, but it's still coating it just as good. So I'm just gonna go around and use this as a bonus. It's kind of great because you can get into areas that you really normally wouldn't.
If you can't tell by my hands, the job is officially done, and it was a bit of a messy one. I think using the air gun certainly coats it really, really well. As you can see, like I've pretty much got the entire underside done here. For you do-it-yourselfers though, using the spray cans works. We've done it multiple times in the past, and I know it may feel like it's a bit of a job, but you know what? It's so well worth doing because at this point I feel so much better in driving this thing through the winter time. The corrosion isn't really gonna set in and rot this thing at the rate that it normally does. So well worth the time and effort. If you're in the Rust Belt, certainly think about doing this to a vehicle that you like. For those of you that commented in the previous video that we really needed the TRD skid plate, worry not. We were ahead of you. Of course, I had ordered this. I think this is such a centerpiece for these vehicles. Like when you see them and you can like look underneath and see this skid plate with these beautiful TRD letters. I think it's well worth it. And of course, this came from Sunrise Toyota, where we've gotten most of our TRD bits. You can see it's gonna bolt up like this with 4 bolts and going to look beautiful.
By the way, PT, show people how thick this thing is. It's not just cosmetic. This thing is
That's
beefy.
true, that's true. This is not a cosmetic piece. This is full ready for off-road. Like look at the thickness of this thing. But you know what though? It's still remarkably light considering the thickness of it. Like I'm impressed that I can kind of like hold this up very easily. For those of you that weren't listening to the details in the episode where I mounted up those TRD wheels and General Tire tires, those are my winter wheels and tires. These are my summer wheels and tires, and bam, check that out. How beautiful. These are a set of 18x9 plus 0 Graham Lights 57 Transcend X wheels in this beautiful gunmetal finish that I think is going to complement the white quite well. And they've got this super, super aggressive. I haven't seen a concave on a wheel as aggressive as this in a very long time, which I think is gonna look absolutely amazing. And for tires, we have gone with Continental's Terrain Contact ATs. What I personally really like about them is they have an aggressive looking tread pattern, but they're very well mannered for the street. We've been running these on our Tundra for quite a long time, and they're absolutely fantastic for the street. They're still good for off-road, but like I said, the main thing for me with this vehicle is I want something that's gonna look good and aggressive on the street but still ride well, because a lot of the tires that like look like they're off-road tires ride like off-road tires, and these definitely don't. For lug nuts, I am going with a set of these Dorman ones. I really like the look of them. They're different than your traditional tuner lug. This kind of to me gives it an off-road look. It also has this cap in it, which I think finishes it off quite well. You can see they are on here, and I think they're gonna look really good. And I know some of you are gonna post in the comments, because no one misses a thing. Why is this silver if you know Ray's wheels, they usually come with their own caps, but what I've done is I've installed some of these specific Toyota branded Dorman TPMS sensors, and all I have to do now is reprogram the truck to these sensors, and that pesky light won't blink at me, which I really dislike, and my wife will appreciate more than me that light is gone. So, all right, we are gonna get all of the rest of these wheels bolted on and show you what it looks like now. I think I've achieved pretty much near perfection with this setup. At first I was a little worried about the dark gunmetal color, but I think it fits perfectly into the white and black, as some of you called Stormtrooper look. The offset on these, the 0 is pretty much perfection as well. It doesn't like cause the wheel and tire to stick out too much, but it's very close to being flush for that like perfect off-road kind of look. So I'm beyond happy with how this turned out. Now, what we need to do is focus on the paint because it needs some love too.
And just like that, this 4Runner is looking a whole bunch shinier, starting with a wash and fallout cleaner treatment that we gave it off camera. And then as you guys saw, we gave it a cut and polish. We used Sonax's X-Cut 0505. As you can see, this is a 5 out of 6 cut and a 5 out of 6 gloss. We like it a lot as a single step cut and polish process. And then we came in with Sonax's consumer grade ceramic coating treatment. And it's relatively simple to apply. It takes a little bit of time, but it does give you a very durable, very long lasting coating, which really repels water and dirt exceptionally well. So this thing is well protected now, but we did notice, standing here admiring how good it looks, that the front end seems to have come down a bit. So I took a quick measurement and it looks like it has drooped or settled 3/4 of an inch. So we're gonna re-level it so that it looks proper again. But before we do that, we're gonna jump inside and do a couple of quick mods in there.
So aside from a much needed cleaning up inside here, I pretty much have no complaints about the interior other than the wood trim on the shift knob and here. So thankfully Toyota does offer a very nice solution, and that is a TRD shift knob. And this one that I've purchased from Red Hill is a nice satin black with red stitching. I think it's gonna really look the part. Look at that, that looks much nicer. And what are we gonna do about this here? Well, actually, I did look up, you can buy this as a replacement piece from Toyota. It also is very expensive, and more so, it requires a lot of work to actually remove this piece. You gotta take a lot of the dash apart. So I've got some vinyl wrap to match the shift knob that we're gonna try to wrap this. And if you know my wrap skills, they are at a probably F. So let's see how this goes.
Buddy, this escalated quickly. What's going on in here?
Ooh, yeah, well, after looking at this trim piece and thinking, you know what, I should be able to wrap it around the edges and tuck it in. No, I'm certainly not at that level. So like anybody, I decided I'll just take it all apart and take this piece of wood out and then wrap it on its own, because that can be done by a novice. So here I am, I've had to tear apart the right side of the dash here, but I am almost there. There's about 10 screws holding this piece in, believe it or not, and then it should be out on its own.
Pretty sure you called that a piece of wood, but it's really just a piece of plastic with wood grain on it there.
Now you're really dissing me. Did Toyota really just make this out of plastic?
That ain't mahogany, bro.
Oh, this ain't no Lexus, is it? Hang on a second. It looks like my piece of vinyl here is not going to fit properly. So I'm off to the vinyl guy to pick up some more.
Good timing, PT, because man, I am whipped after polishing your truck here, so I'm gonna take a bit of a breather.
DP, come on, time to get back to work.
It wasn't me.
And here is the piece. I think this will fit perfectly fine. Really don't have a great idea how to do this properly, so I am just gonna start winging it here and see what happens.
Maybe we should two-man this and we'll just show people the end result.
Yeah, maybe. I think that might be the better way to go. It's amazing what a little bit of heat does when you're trying to like stretch the thing around with Dave holding it and me working the heat and my little tool here. We were able to get it on there. There's a couple of small little minor spots where I think like dust got underneath it, but overall I think there's no creasing, there's no bubbles, so I'm gonna be happy with it. I'm just gonna trim this thing off and let's put this back in. After much fuss, we do have it in, and I think it looks pretty damn good.
It does look good.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy. Now, what do you guys think? When is the last time this has been replaced? Did the previous owner take care of this vehicle, or did they not even service this thing? What do you think, DP?
I'm going never been changed.
Never been changed.
People
All
don't
right.
change these
Well,
things.
okay, it is dirty. I'm gonna call that pretty dirty, I think, unless it's. Let's see what a new one looks like. Oh, no, look at that. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. This is probably a different version, but
Maybe,
yeah, you can see there's a lot of leaves and dust in there.
For all you folks that live in the Salt Belt, you'll recognize those white stains in the front carpet, and that is, of course, a winter thing where you drag salt and stuff into here, and it leaves those deposits on the carpet. And I don't know what you guys use to get those out, but what we found works best is a solution of vinegar and water. Pete also puts this on his French fries, but this is like a 10 to 1-ish solution of vinegar, white vinegar and water. Spray it on there and it dissolves the salt, which is quite remarkable actually. It does a good job, so we'll show you how that works right now. As you can see, that vinegar solution has actually done quite a good job of dissolving the salt, and what's left of it, it's like really embedded in there. So we're gonna come in with one of Pete's favorite tools. This is like a blaster tool with forced air and hot water in here, and that'll just like loosen and agitate everything that's in the carpet, not just the salty residue, but any kind of dirt or mud that's caked in there. You can see that does quite a good job of agitating and just forcing the dirt out of the carpet. There's still some salt in there, so we'd have to come in with another round of that vinegar solution, try to get it out there perfectly, but I think this combo of two tools works remarkably well. Although our vinegar solution did a decent job, if you really want to protect your carpets more thoroughly, we found that using these WeatherTech liners is actually a much better way, because as you can see, here's your Toyota factory floor mat. It's flat. It'll catch a little bit of dirt, but it won't protect the carpets around the perimeter where all that salt buildup happens. With these liners, you can see they're contoured, actually laser scan the floor, and they're contoured to them perfectly. They use the factory security points, and because they're deep, they'll hold a lot more slush and salty water and all that stuff and protect your carpets much better. Super durable. We got them from WeatherTech Canada. That's weathertech.ca for all you Canadians out there. They ship fast and free, so keep them in mind. And we got the full complement of their floor liners, front and rear. The rear one is a one-piece unit that covers the hump too, which is nice. And we have the cargo liner for the back, as well as their bumper protector. It's this rollout piece that, if you're putting big bulky things in and out, it'll just protect
Groceries,
your bumper.
DP, groceries.
Yeah, exactly. Or grow up stuff if you're like PT here. So let's throw this in the front here and we'll show you how it covers up those nasty old salt marks. There you have it, everyone. Perfect fit every time, covers up those nasty old salt stains. So man, I think we're done inside here, PT. As a matter of fact, are we done with this build entirely?
I think we are, man.
Time to go for a rip. Woo. Giving it some boost up this big hill here,
That's
huh?
right. Look at this. We're like ripping single lane here.
Nice.
Listen to that blower work. This car used to struggle coming up here. I would have had to have floored it, DP.
Yeah, and we got a nice train track
There
here to
it is.
test the iBox out on.
Let's just send it.
Oh man, soaks it up like a boss.
Yeah, and
Man, so good.
yeah, the power difference is immediate. As I mentioned before, the more I drive this thing, the more I notice the boost.
Yes.
And I love it.
I love the sounds it makes too. It's really fun.
It's so good.
Adds a little theatrics to this thing, and
Yes, it does.
man, those iBox are so good.
I
They
know.
soak up all the rough stuff around the city, but like even setting it a bit over those railroad tracks, just soaks it all up.
You know, and as a person that drives lowered cars constantly, there's always this worry. You're always looking on the street and you're like, oh, is this is this gonna hit here?
Yeah.
Now with this, there's zero worry.
That's it, man.
You
Smash
just
those
drive,
potholes.
you see something coming up, oh, look at this little ridge here. I don't know, is this gonna
Who
be big or
cares?
not? It doesn't matter. You just
bash it.
there you go.
And we are on these new Contis, which are more of a true all-season tire. The winters we were on before were going to be a little squishy.
Yeah.
This is more what your daily driving experience is going to be on, and they definitely have more cornering grip and more sidewall stiffness to them, so I think it's going to make the car feel...
And look, do you hear them?
No.
No, I don't.
No, yeah, they're remarkably quiet. I run these on my Tundra, and the reason I love them the most is how quiet and civilized they are. Yeah. And yet, I can drive them in the winter if I want, I can off-road them if I want, they have that good rugged look to them.
Let's keep it real for a second. The fact that this thing looks like it's off-road ready does not mean I'm going to be off-roading it all the time. I certainly have plans to, but this is 95% a on-road vehicle.
Yes.
And you know, the people that buy TRDs, they also have this dream and hope to go off-roading, but the harsh reality is most people do not off-road their vehicles. Let's be real here, right? Like, especially around here, right? Yeah. That's why when we set off with this build, it was always the idea of like build something that is well-mannered on the street, but can handle off-road, because I know the majority of people want that. That's what they really want, right? And I think we've kind of perfected that here. I think the iBox suspension is perfect for exactly that.
Yeah, it really is.
The wheels, the tires, they're all like aggressive enough, but they're still very, very street friendly. Now, to address some questions that I have seen over and over, the first one being, why did I not purchase a TRD or SR5? Well, you know, I'm always looking for deals, and this limited came up for the right price, which is why I purchased it. And originally I had done the research figuring the cost of doing this conversion wouldn't be expensive.
Right.
And you know, obviously it was a little bit more work than we anticipated, but I'm still very happy with it. If I had to do it over again, I would buy an SR5. The idea of buying a TRD, those trucks are double the price of what I paid, even more than this 4Runner. So it's a little bit hard to say, well, could just go buy a TRD. You know, this conversion is certainly for the person that's already has one or is looking to buy one, but can't afford to step up and make that, you know, $65,000 Canadian price tag, right?
Yeah, it's a big price tag. And I mean, we're also in the business of playing with cars and tuning them up a bit. And this was kind of a fun way to make your own version of a TRD Pro in a sense. You kind of put your own spin on it, and you've got all the luxury of a Limited in here, which is great for your family on your road trips to visit the in-laws and stuff. I mean, you're gonna, I think, really enjoy what the Limited offers inside.
For sure.
And now you got the looks of a TRD Pro Plus.
Yes.
It's kind of a win, my friend.
Now, as for power, let's feel that blower work again.
Yes.
Ooh, yes. Listen, oh man, look at it pull right up top, man.
Yeah,
Holy.
it does have good top end.
Here's the thing, some of you guys commented, why didn't I put an intake or an exhaust on it? Exhaust, it's simple. It's not gonna add gobs of power. It's just more for noise. I don't want the noise. I don't want my wife complaining about the noise, which is why I didn't put an exhaust system on this. Intake, honestly, that's something I did consider, but I figured I wanted to run it OE for now. An intake, I talked to Magnuson, and they said could potentially give you another 15 horsepower.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
so,
a lot.
that sounds like the OEM intake is restrictive on this vehicle.
Okay.
So, you know, that's certainly an option for you guys too, and to go down that road if you're looking to maximize that kind of power. But for me, I'm already happy with it as is, so I don't really want to add any more juice. Well, that is going to be a wrap on this one. Huge thanks to iBox for sponsoring this series, because without them, we wouldn't be building a 4Runner. So thank you, iBox, and everybody else who's supported us. And guys, let us know in the comments, what did you think of the series? Did you enjoy it? We noticed a lot of you have been watching it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Please let us know.
Yeah, and did you find the 4-episode approach? This is the longest quick build or mod my ride build series that we've done. Did you like the 4 episodes, or do you prefer it, you know, the quicker immediate gratification of the 2-episode approach? So let us know on that too.
If you guys want to see me take this thing off-roading and shoot a video on it, also post in the comments. I will do a 6-month follow-up, how it's been living with this, if I've had any issues, or if something happens prematurely, expect a video on that, but somehow I doubt that.
It's not a Touareg PT, I don't expect any issues, buddy, but I wouldn't mind doing a little overlanding with this thing and maybe the Tundra once we give it a little bit of love.
That's right. So guys, once again, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, think about giving us a thumbs up and subscribing and hitting that notification bell. As I mentioned before, that certainly goes a long way with the algorithm, and we want to make sure these videos reach the masses.